I'm Taylor Russett. I'm 21 years of age, and I own three companies in the Sterling, Quinte West area. I own a photography company called Russett Photography. I co-own a wedding show based out of Prince Edward County called Let's Get Married Quinte, and I own the Grind and Vine, a coffee and wine bar in Trenton, Ontario.
When did you start? Like, when did this journey start for you? Like, how old were you when you decided, you know what, I want to start doing some things and not working for the man, quote unquote, so to speak?
I was in grade 10 when one of my photography teachers put the idea into my head of starting my own business. And at that time, I didn't have any aspirations for it to actually make money. It was just something to be a hobby, something fun to do. And I started with the Small Business Center through the summer company program, the grant program to get young entrepreneurs into business. And that's how I kickstarted my first company, Russett Photography. And it's been operating for 5 years now. So I've had the opportunity to photograph clients in like weddings, branding, corporate clients. It's been a kind of array of everything, and that's where I learned my entrepreneurial spirit for sure.
Wow. So encouragement from others, realizing that there is, an opportunity to take your passion, take what you love to do, and turn that into something that, pays the bills, can, put you in a position to thrive. I love that. And for you to be, 21 years of age, I actually didn't know that before you came on to the show today. So that's really, really interesting and cool. I love young entrepreneurs. I think it's just so, being one myself, it's just so cool to bump into people that have, just a passion for like, hey, like, we don't want to just keep it status quo. Let's look at what opportunities are out there and let's see if we can maximize that. I'm curious about this question because I think it's a question, like, there's a lot of people that have like maybe like one thing going on, right? Mm-hmm. And they're like, man, like, how could one even begin to manage multiple business ventures, other than just one? How do you, as a young entrepreneur, manage not one, two, but three businesses, if I have that correct, at the same time?
I would say partnerships. I can't do it alone. Like, being an entrepreneur, that the connections you have are actually what make you an entrepreneur, the people you connect with, the businesses that you connect with. So truthfully, I really couldn't do this on my own, and I don't. I have two amazing staff members here at the Grind and Vine. That's why I can do this podcast right now, because they're working away hard in the front and I get to be the boss in the back. And it's relying on others and having that trust in others to be able to carry out like my passions because I have a passion for photography and a passion to manage the Grind and Vine as well. So I get to work with a lot of awesome people. Like the wedding show I co-own with a flower shop, Wish, etc., and a dress store, Emma's Bridal. The Grind and Vine is a sole operation. It's just me here. But eventually there'll be management that will be able to work here and I can focus more on my photography clients.
Wow. So is that the goal? Like, kind of automate, delegate as much as you possibly can in the two businesses so you can focus more on the photography side?
Yeah, my photography clientele is the people that got me started. They bootstrapped my education. They all what I earned in my photography company paid for my undergrad and helped bootstrap the Grind and Vine, and then also is now paying for my master's degree. Wow. So I have to go back to them. I have such a passion for the love that they have for each other. That's why I'm a photographer. It's not because the technical aspect of taking a photo. It's because I love photographing the love that two people can have with each other. And that's what I have to come back to in the end of the day, is come back to the reason why I started being an entrepreneur.
That's beautiful, man. What are you getting your master's in?
I'm currently with Queen's doing my MMIE, Masters of Management, Innovation, and Entrepreneurship.
That's fantastic, man. We love Queens over here. My sister goes there, and yeah, it's a great organization facility for sure.
Mhm.
Good for you, man. So like as you're navigating this, like, you know, times are clearly different out there in the business landscape, and I've never found it more important than now to have multiple streams of revenue. Like what's been your experience thus far in this pandemic? You know, navigating the business landscape. You have several businesses on the go. You know, how are things been for you?
Definitely hard. COVID-19 has taken a big hit. And at the beginning of COVID, I only had my photography company and and the wedding show, but definitely the major income comes from my photography venture. And with all my cancellations, I had a lot of free time on my hands. So that is why I made the investment into another business, is that I needed another revenue stream. I needed another project, something to do. So I invested in the Grind and Vine, and thankfully, COVID-19 has allowed more young entrepreneurs and more people to get into the business sphere, because there's a lot of people that, as you were saying before, focused on a one sales revenue, or like, we're good at this, so this is the only thing we're going to do. Those types of businesses are more and more going out of businesses, or losing traction during COVID-19, because it's hard to survive. You need to be very robust, being able to pivot. So that's the reason why I bought the Grind and Vine, is I had the opportunity to go in on a business that was kind of withering out. So I got to give it a new life. And I think that's what we're going to see here at the end of COVID, is a bunch of new entrepreneurs and young entrepreneurs coming into the becomings of business ownership, for sure.
So hold on a second. So you experienced COVID as we're all experiencing COVID, and you took that real life situation and said, I'm going to start another business.
Yeah.
Wow, man, that is crazy. Like I love this so much because this is like the definition of playing offense.
Mhm.
Right? Like there's so many professionals, entrepreneurs that went on defense when this whole thing lifted. And it was almost like it was like they were stuck on glue. They just didn't know what to do because nothing was working anymore. And then it's almost like it was like the Titanic. It was like, man, like I think I'm just gonna die here.
Yeah.
And I've had phone calls, man, like phone calls from people like going into bankruptcy, phone calls from people that like just didn't know what next month was gonna bring at all. Like,
Mhm.
and you start another business. I love this, man. That is
It,
so. What sparks this, man? Like, where where does that courage come from? Because that is not a small thing. Like a lot of people pulled back, you know, in investing and marketing, and you went out and invested in a whole other business. Where does that mindset come from for you?
I believe it comes from the people that support me. Like I got to bring it back. It's really not just me in this venture. Yes, I'm a sole proprietor and I'm a sole entrepreneur by myself, but I've had so much mentorship from Colin Conroy, who is the owner of Balo Mitsubishi and a bunch of other organizations, and even the DBIA, Chamber of Commerce, other people that are supposed to inspire businesses. And I definitely couldn't do it without the mentorship that people have given me in this sphere. And that's what gives me the courage, because I know that I can do it with the people that back me.
Wow, wow. So I'm going to dig a little deeper on that because relationships, that's something I'm talking a lot about these days because I find that people that are having the most success is because they have great relationships in the business community. I find that true for myself and I try find that true for a lot of other people. But inspired you to go out and make those relationships? Because it's a two-way street. Like, I'm sure it wasn't just everybody approached you and then, you kind of like, you had to reach out and make some relationships happen.
Mhm.
What inspired you to do that?
Well, I tell you, I don't love the paperwork side of owning a business. That's the downside.
Me neither.
I'm definitely more of a people person. So it's like my genuine instinct to just go and talk to people with no objective of like winning them over or anything, just to go talk to them, meet them, like, how do you do? What do you do? And like just seeing how they do things is really lightning uh, to show on yourself how you should grow your mindset and grow your ventures as well. Like I look to in my photography business, I look to other amazing photographers. My best friend's Holly McMurder.
Holly,
We just go off each other. We are
love
like
her.
a duo, and we refer client each other. We make sure that we challenge each other. We grow off each other. And I think that's what we need. So many businesses, fear of competition is their biggest hurdle.
Mm.
And you can't be scared of who's going to copy you. You got to work with people, and the companies that are succeeding now are people that are sourcing other local products and bringing them to their platform. Places like the County Emporium, bringing all locally Canadian made sourced items, bringing it into a cool trendy market in Prince Edward County. That's what people are looking for, is those smart business relationships that are bringing all of us into a better business economy in 2021 for sure.
Brother, you're telling me, like, I'm trying to get people in my industry locally to join my podcast. I haven't gotten, well, I got one yes, actually. One yes, 27 Marketing. Shout out to them. I'm really excited for that interview.
Yeah.
But it's so true what you said. Like, co-opetition over competition. You can't be afraid of what's out there. Shout out to Holly. Love that girl. She does amazing work. And I think that's really, really neat that you've picked this up so early in time. I got a pointed question. You must love people.
I do. I really do. It's something that recently hasn't come very. It's been hard. Like, I don't know. My coffee shop has been under very targeted attacks lately, and sometimes you don't have that love for some people. So you got to go above it. Yeah, we had our windows smashed in and a fire set at our building.
What?
So it's been disheartening for sure, but I love interacting with people, and I love the Quinte West community. So it's been a go starting this business, but it all comes back to, I start all my businesses with the intent of focusing on the person that I'm serving. And I think we got to do that.
Wow. And I really appreciate you sharing that, Taylor, because that's the other real side of business. And I appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing that with me. I mean, it sounds like it probably was a very public event. Like, negativity and quote unquote haters, like, that's a big thing in business as well. Had a very real conversation with a friend of mine the other day. She owns Mommy Mops or Major Mops.
Love her.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I read a comment for her that was in my socials from somebody. It was just a very, negative comment that pretty much was like trying to debunk credibility and all that. How do you, as a human, deal with negativity, criticism, etc.?
It's hard not to take those things right to heart. It's your name on the business. It's who you are. Your business, you grow it. It's just like your child. Like, you put everything in it. I put my whole life savings into all my companies. So it's hard not to take that hate or that criticism to heart. But you got to have validation in what you're doing to understand yes, you got to take criticism and feedback from your customers on how to expand your services, but you got to have validation and trust in yourself that you're doing what you want to do, and you have that validation from yourself first and primarily.
Wow. And that's a super key thing to know. And like, how do you practically do that for you? Because I know it's different for everybody, but like, because I find in a moment of, you get that feedback, negative, criticize, whatever, like most often we as humans by default kind of go into defense mode. Is there anything that you do yourself practically that like helps you walk through that from a psyche perspective?
Oh, that's a hard one. I just say I go in I read the review, or I read the comment from a customer, and then I fully remove myself. I read it and I don't take any action that day. I sit on it, I mull it a little bit, and then I go in the next day and I go and I put my 110% into what I do.
Wow.
So like I like, obviously every business owner has complications and those hard times with customers. I think you got to set them aside. We become emotional very quickly when they first happen. But if you remove yourself from that situation for a short period of time and revisit it when you're the next day, or give it that 24 hours, you become less emotional towards the subject. And then you can identify and say, oh, I may have done something here that affected my customer, and therefore enacted that negative review or whatever. But how can I go about that change? It is definitely a self-identifying business mechanism for sure.
Taylor, that is such wisdom that you just put out there. And I totally agree with that concept. Aspiring to that concept myself, it's a work in progress. But I'll go out on a limb and say this. I think if 90% of people did what you just mentioned, you would have like 85, 90% nasty comments on your Facebook friends list to what's being put out there. And I think it's so true. Like, if you don't react in the moment, remove yourself, take a step back, come back to it the next day, whatever emotions you had in that moment, they have to be dulled down a bit. Yeah. Wow. I love that, man. That's true wisdom right there. And I'm glad you showed that, because I think that's really going to bring value to somebody that's going to be listening to this. And like, obviously, like there is two sides. There's the negative side of business, the positive side. Like, let's talk future, man. What are some like future goals that you have? Like, where are you heading with all this? What are Taylor's future plans? I like talking dreams.
Oh gosh. That's one that I've been mulling around lately. My master's has tasked me with a 5-year plan, in which by Sunday I'm supposed to figure out what I want to do with my growth point for all my companies. So I've been looking into expansion of the Grind and Vine into a multi-locational business, because I believe that the Grind and Vine is less of a coffee shop and less of a wine bar and more of a community center.
Hold on, you say wine bar?
Yes. Oh yeah, we got wine.
Oh brother, I'm gonna have to come visit you guys in the summertime.
Exactly.
I like me some vino.
Yeah. Oh, I like myself some vino too.
Okay.
And so that's my plan is a multi-locational Grind and Vine. I bring forth my Russett photography business in all of my businesses. So I'll never lose that. I use those skills daily. with social media management and photography. I believe those are two crucial skills that a lot of business owners need, and that's that attributes to a lot of success is a clear message through photo and visuals for sure.
Wow, wow. And I'm super curious because you're in this industry, like the creative, I believe is super, super important. It's critical to the success of any campaign that you're putting out there, whether it's a Facebook ad, LinkedIn, Pinterest, whatever it is. I think the creative is the variable of success. What is your thoughts on how much the creative matters when it comes to marketing?
Marketing, I don't think you can have marketing without being creative is what it comes down to. Non-creative marketing is not really a thing. It's why your company isn't going anywhere for a lot of people. And it's working with like experts like OSM that can help you be more creative, because some people just don't. For some people, they have the creativity when it comes to their company, but they don't have the time to learn those skills or to have that growth into that area. So if it's building a website that's creative or coming up with marketing promotions on your social media, sometimes business owners got to leave that to the people that are creative in a marketing sense. Because that's truly the backbone to a lot of companies, is getting in front of the right people and getting in front of more people. And you can only do that through creative marketing.
1000%, man. 1000. And by the way, like for your photography business, who is your ideal customer? Like who typically are the people that you work with?
I pre-vet all my clients. And that's not to get rid of people that I don't want to work with, but I want people that have the same merits and same passion for their photos as much as I do. I want them to love what I'm creating. So I always sit down with my customers with either, well, now it's Zoom, but it used to be a coffee shop session where I got to meet them. We don't talk about price until the end of the meeting. And I just talk about either if it's a wedding customer, then why they're in love, how they fell in love, their story. That means more to me than just photographing their wedding date. And for corporate clients, it's understanding their business, understanding what they want out of the photos, and their objective out of the photo shoot for sure.
Wow, that's so key. I like how you mentioned too, because like as somebody who is certainly, values the aspect of being really good in becoming more of an assistant buyer as opposed to a salesperson, mentioning price at the end of the meeting, definitely, something I prefer, when speaking with clients. I like that approach. And it's really neat and cool to understand, getting a better understanding of who you might be working with, because to your point, if they understand the value, they get it. And then that that's going to be a great relationship long term. Did that come through experience, that you coming to that understanding? Was that mentorship? How did you come to that conclusion?
I saw it in my sales and my experience. The customers that I had a deep connection to, and in the first few years of my business, the customers that I had a deeper connection to, or that I met on a previous basis, I had a bigger passion to photograph their wedding date or their photo shoot, because I knew them and I knew the reasons why they wanted this photo shoot. And that is so on a photography standpoint, you can only be as creative as the customer will allow you to be. And
talk about it, man. Talk about it. It's so true.
And they are your inspiration. So I'm making art out of them. So I need to feel the inspiration or the love that they have for each other to make great photos. So that's how I recognized that I needed to be in love with my clients just as much as they were in love with each other. So
That man, that is such truth, man. Like it's funny, like the conversations that like we have around the office, it's like, like 90% of my clients don't do what I want them to do or what I tell
yeah,
them to do.
exactly. Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, we'll take this part, but we also want to do it this way. And
Yeah.
you obviously like at the end of the day, you got to do it, but you're 100% correct. Like having that, that knowing that, it certainly makes for a great relationship, and you know that you're gonna get the best out of that shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, man. So tell me, um, we're in 2021, it's a whole new business landscape. For you in your business, what do you think are some things that you've observed that, as far as, maybe how you operate, how you're navigating the business space? What are some things that, you've maybe implemented as a result of the landscape of business that you can maybe see yourself doing far into the future?
I think the world of business has changed. I think the idea that once you come up with one business idea and you can ride it through, like you come up with this groovy cafe and wine bar and you created your products and everything, and you finally established yourself, and now you're going to have customers for the next 10 years. I don't think that's how business is going to run after COVID. You have to keep evolving, keep pivoting. And we've seen that in such a condensed period from the beginning of the pandemic till now, that business owners are starting to learn that we need to keep pivoting, introducing new products, new developments, new way of doing things, ways to reduce cost in labor, ways to reduce cost of goods, supporting local. Those are all major themes that I see coming to the forefront for business owners, for sure.
Wow. Okay, I got a couple of pointed questions I was just going to throw at you.
Go for it.
All right. Building a business out of necessity or desire?
That's a hard one. Desire. I don't think you can have. I don't believe in businesses that build themselves out of necessity, for either financial situations or whatever. Because you truly have to have a passion in what you're doing to go in every day and do it well. So I believe in a passion project rather than a necessity to a business opportunity.
Love it. As a person who is creative, what speaks to you more? Colors or No, I'm going to switch it up. As a creative person, what speaks to you more? What the person's trying to say behind the creative, or what the creative is saying to you?
That's, yeah. As the creative, I think it's always the message behind it. But I believe that us creatives need to look more on the side of how people are interpreting our creativity. Like an example is we created a California coffee here at the cafe, which is a double shot espresso and orange juice. And like people were thinking we were off the rocker like crazy. And I just did it as a point of like, let's do this cool new drink. And now it's our best selling drink here. So I think you have to have that creativity behind that. I wanted to drive interaction. And that's what it did. But in the end, the customers saw it as a cool new opportunity to try out my cafe.
Love it, man. And last question. Before I let you go here, is what is your thought about as we go into the remainder of this year? You know, what is something that you would like to see happen for your business, for yourself? It could be business related, it could be personal related. Go ahead.
I would love to see a little bit more personal time for myself. A little bit of relaxation might be nice. And I would love to see um, some growth. Like obviously I'm growing, but I want to grow in some new ways that I think hopefully we'll see in 2021, the beginning of 2022 for both Russett Photography and the Grind and Vine.
I'm with you all the way, brother. Let people know where they can find you.
Well, you can find me at Russett Photography on Instagram or at the Grind and Vine for our shop here in Trenton, Ontario.
Love it. Love it. Taylor, thank you so much for joining the show. I truly appreciate you sharing your passions, your vision, and just some real life stuff. You know, I always believe we're humans first and then entrepreneurs secondary. I'm always interested in getting to know the human and how that spurs entrepreneurship forward. So I appreciate hearing from you, a young entrepreneur doing your thing. Taylor, thank you so much.
Thanks, Josh. And it was great connecting with a fellow entrepreneur as yourself.